that can't escape this. Some guy when I was getting the vaccine said he used to listen to the Brad and Britt cast. So it wasn't like an old geezer like me. It was like a young feller.
Wait, he used to listen to the podcast?
No, the radio show.
Oh,
we used to be on the radio.
Well, but you called it the Brad and Britt cast.
Yeah, I'm so used to it now. It's so much a part of my vernacular. I've even forgotten about.
Okay, we had a Costco celebrity sighting and conversation yesterday.
Uh-oh. Ready?
Bill O'Neill from Chicago.
Wow.
And he
local folks will remember that's
me. Go ahead.
Local folks remember that's where Emily Bird took a fall and almost cracked her skull open. Was at Costco a few years ago. Well, many years ago now. But yes. How's Bill O'Neill doing?
Well, you know what he told? He says he looks at some of our shit on Facebook, my shit in particular. Mm-hmm. He says yours sucks.
Of course it does.
but he says he never ever posts anything remotely political because
of course not.
The fucking people that he works for, he says,
they're so awesome.
Yeah.
Well, but he listens to the radio all the time.
You and your wokeness have fucked up this country.
Sure. Okay. And he can't go read his favorite. He can't go read his favorite Dr. Seuss books anymore either, can he?
And by the way, did you see the clip of the great Senator Tim Scott saying that? Let's see. Wokeness is worse than you still listen to the Brad and Britt. See what?
Wokeness equals brokenness?
No. Let's see.
He needs to try again if that was his deal.
Here it is. Woke supremacy is as bad as white supremacy.
Oh, thank you, Tim. Thank you for coming back. I know he was not helpful to the folks who would support the Confederate flag a few years ago, but now he's back in the team, back on the team. Good times.
I think I'm going to be in business here. I have a Costco crisis.
Oh, what's going on there?
I went there yesterday and I spent a lot of money. Okay, more than $20. I mean, a lot of money. I mean, I bought some electronic gear. I mean, it was a big tab. And I get home and I look at the thing, and there's this, $33.46 for, and it's got a code, and it looked like it was like frozen salmon or something.
But you didn't buy it. You didn't buy that.
And I even went to Google and I Googled in the code and it's there. There it is. That's what that is. And I didn't buy it. So I'm going to be paying them a visit today.
What is this?
If it was $3, okay. But getting up to $35,
that's real money.
They'll probably that's real money. That's some serious money.
That's real money. Damn it.
Yeah. And of course, that'll probably cost someone their job. Okay.
Did you get it when you got your vaccine? Did you get a sticker or a button?
The first time I got a button. I didn't get anything the second time. That it was such old hat to them. They didn't care anymore.
Yeah, fuck you, get out of here. It was like that last bonus they paid for us at WBT. Fuck you, take your money.
Just
that was
move
it. I got nothing the first time and a button this time. These people can't be consistent. They just can't.
Where is it? Let's see. Come on.
It's upside down. Oh, let me not do that. See, there it is, everybody.
It's not there.
And it's been uploaded to the cloud, so that if I ever lose this and I'm at the airport or whatever, I can just go, here, look. And they're going to go, no, we can't help you. We need the actual card. Hey, Brad, I got a new recommendation for a series you could stream. This is your favorite thing. I really don't.
No, here's the worst part. Now, of course, if you just read in general newspapers and
Right.
decent sites, they're always talking about the next new thing that's coming up, starts this Sunday on HBO. Fuck, I don't have time.
I know, right?
I can't. I'm never going to live long enough to see this stuff. And some of it is, well, I'd really like to see that, but no, I don't have another 3 hours. I don't have enough time.
No, the last one I got was that Your Honor thing on Showtime, and I'm probably done after that. I can't deal with anything for a while because we can't finish anything. We never finish anything. We tried to finish the thing about the chess girl, and I couldn't finish that. Whatever Queen's Gambit or whatever that was.
Right. And I see you've watched one episode of The Stewardess or whatever the hell that is.
Yeah.
I
tapped out after one. Yeah.
I haven't seen the Chicago 7 movie. I want to see that.
Oh, it's good. Yeah.
Don't have any time. No time.
There's no time. There's no time. Who says there's time?
There we go. All right, we're ready.
All right, rock and roll.
All right. It's the Brad and Britt cast. It's our last one for this week. We're glad that you joined us here. We are live here in the 1:30 Eastern. This isn't daylight savings time weekend, is it?
It is. Yeah, this coming weekend for Sunday. Yeah,
well,
Sunday morning.
Let me tell you something, Britt. In this country right now, there's a lot of disunity. A lot of.
You think?
Yeah, and you know what? I refuse.
You're just not going to do it?
To change my clock. And you know what? No government is going to tell me what to do. Who made that decision? Nobody asked me.
Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin, one of our founding fathers. Why do you hate America?
Oh, please. You know what? He would know a digital watch from from an ICBM. Benjamin Franklin. I knew nothing.
One time. We did that when we were working on the radio. I was going to work, and I'd come. It was that day. It was the spring one, I guess. And I was coming to work, and I was an hour earlier because I'm listening and I'm hearing the stupid ass John and Jeff show instead of the Wall Street Journal this morning. And I go, well, fuck, what am I going to do now? I'm on the way to work. I just went over. I used my extra hour to eat. I went to Waffle House and got some food.
Well, that was productive. That was helpful.
This is how I got diabetes. That's how I ended up with diabetes a few years ago. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Yeah,
there you go. That's how that worked.
Do it. All right, I have what I think is a fairly interesting obituary of somebody that I never knew his name. I'm sure you didn't either. Lou Ottens, Ottens. He was 94, and he is most famous for having invented the audio cassette. The audio cassette, and then that wasn't the only thing he did. I mean, he helped develop the CD later on. He was obviously an electronic genius there, and that's a pretty decent legacy, don't you think? Because that was a big chunk, for 20 years or so of the way people listen to music.
Big time.
And if you watch any programming or shows or movies about a certain era and certain artists, everyone used cassettes, and they had their moment. And in the story I'm reading here, apparently Keith Richards, here we go. Keith Richards was drunk out of his mind one night. Okay, I know you're shocked. And he didn't know what he was doing, and he woke up and accidentally his cassette recorder, it was 1964, they did exist, had the opening riff to Satisfaction on there. He doesn't know how it got there, which is very believable. It's Keith Richards. Thank God for the cassette. Thank God for the cassette recorder.
The theory was that he was like sleep playing or whatever, and then it just happened to be there, and there it was, and he made $70 trillion off of it and shoved it all up his nose. So God bless him.
So.
there's that. Hey, Marjorie Taylor Greene news. We haven't heard much from Marjorie Taylor Greene. She did try to end House business. I understand when they were trying to pass the COVID-19 package finally in the House, she tried to end House business at like 9:30 or 9:47 in the morning. Now she has referred to Guam as a foreign country. Guam is not a foreign country, and they're sending her a box of cookies in order to kind of patch things up. True story. The Washington Examiner has the story. We love Marjorie Taylor Greene, and they're going to be sending her, and it's a little geography lesson. It's Chamorro chip cookies regularly seen on flights to Guam and a common staple in military care packages. So I think this will turn her around. She'll be less of an asshole after this, Brad.
All right. Now, before we keep going on this, and of course that means we're going to keep going because I'm pretending that we shouldn't talk about someone like this because it'll just give them publicity and make them famous. Next thing you know, they'll be president just like Trump. But should we entertain anything about her like this? I mean, I understand that she made apparently like 4 different attempts to stop voting on different things over the last few days over and over again. The Democrats got pissed, but of course her own party is pissed also, which very well could be her point. She's that person. She's that guy. Her and the nut from Colorado, Lauren Boebert. It's a contest. That is a real race. I don't know if you've seen it. I'm sure you have. Maybe you haven't. Her 1-minute commercial attacking Nancy Pelosi and the idea of a fence around the Capitol. You can't put a wall up for the border, but boy, they sure can put a wall up. And she's walking around the fence. And at the end, there's a gigantic gunshot. And of course, it's basically an assassination call against Nancy Pelosi by a member of Congress. But again, should we mention this? Should we talk about it? Because this is what these people feed off of. This is what they live for. They are that person. You know, I almost am reminiscing for the good old days of Steve King from Iowa. You know, as crazy as he was,
right,
and as nutty as he was, he really wasn't out of line in terms of his actual behavior. He apparently washed his hands and shaved every day and showed up on time and didn't try to. But these women are of a different. And he was a racist, and he was all the good
horrible
stuff. The good stuff that you get when you get a Republican.
The good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, he had those goods going for him. But these women are just completely, off the reservation of normalcy, decency, and again, you have to pull back. Guess what? They got elected in parts of the country that would elect someone like this, and that's the frightening part of it. I mean, you can say all day long, and it's true in a partial way. Trump wasn't the cause; he was the symptom. He was the result of. And yes, there are people among us, and they are your relatives and friend, or maybe your former relatives, your former friends, and former associates who voted for the guy, and they're part of our lives. We're not going to cast off the whole district that votes for someone like that. Can't throw them out of the country, can't do anything like that, but they are there. They are among us.
The bottom line is these are awful things that they've done, but they were doing, especially Marjorie Taylor Greene was doing everything she possibly could to make sure that people did not get some help. Let's remember that every possible thing that she could to make sure that the people were not able to get those checks that might keep them from in their house or in their apartment and off the streets. That's really the key element to this particular story.
Well, guess what, Britt? At this point, I'm not convinced that matters. I'm not convinced that means anything in terms of campaigning, because you know what's going on here. They're trying to turn this whole thing around and saying that even someone as crazy as this, who would try to stop voting, try to stop the Congress, possibly was involved in the planning around January 6th, that in the end, they just want to stop the out of control spending that's going to bankrupt our grandchildren. They are really,
we're going for that again.
The loyal opposition and doing exactly what needs to be done. And of course, we're for targeted help for people who really need it, which is, by the way, that's a cousin of we're just trying to assure voter integrity. Okay?
Of course.
That's a cousin of that one.
Absolutely.
Right. It doesn't mean anything, but that's how this is being defended and will be attacked. And the minute inflation goes up 1/1000%, oh, I told you, price of gasoline. I mean, there it is. And by the way, I've made this argument many times in the past when gasoline moves up and down.
Yeah.
And we would get out a piece of paper and a pen, which I have right here, and I would go, hey, let's see, when the price of gas goes up 50 cents, okay, and I'm going to drive to Atlanta this weekend.
I love this. This is great. Listen closely to what he's about to say, because this is really a great argument. This is the argument.
I'm going to drive 300 miles back and forth, 600 miles for my round trip to Atlanta this weekend. And my car on the highway, it gets 30 miles per gallon. So I'm going to be using 20 gallons of gas. And with the price of gasoline zooming from about $2.20, it's in the high twos now. It's going to cross. So let's say it's going to go up a whole $1. That's going to cost me another $20 to drive back and forth to Atlanta this weekend. Now, is that the end of the world? It will be portrayed that way. It will be portrayed that the whole world is ending. Boy, those were such good old days when we did have 5,000 people a day dying of coronavirus. The economy was on its back. Everything was closed. The world went to shit. No one was driving, and gas dropped below $2 a gallon. It wasn't that great. Those were the good old days, because my trip to Atlanta would have been so much cheaper. The one that I couldn't take and wouldn't take because I was so.
If only someone had put $1,400 into your account to help you afford the higher price of this gasoline, you ditz. Whoever the hell is actually thinking this way, for God's sake.
But the calculations will not just be about gasoline. They're going to say if there is some higher inflation, well, that $1,400 just went poof, because the price of everything just went up and more than covered that. And there might actually be some credence to that, except we don't have any signs of that kind of inflation right now. And
as you know,
the amount of money going into the economy far eclipses that, certainly in the short run, and no one can predict the future. So,
and this is the approval for this package. The approval for this package is well north of 70%. It's well over half of Republican voters. So again, as of right now, yes, we can do revisionist history a year from now, 2 years from now, everything else. Right now, you can't get 70% of people to agree that they want ice cream. I mean, you just can't in America right now. Everything is going as it should be for the Biden administration. He's doing exactly the right stuff. I know he didn't hold a press conference in the last 5 minutes. I wring my hands daily that he's just not out there in front of the cameras taking questions. I know so too much, 8 weeks into this administration, he's just not doing the right stuff. But everything's okay, everything's fine, and most people wanted this, and they're going to get, and it's going to help out some people. Oh, I feel terrible that some middle class and poor people are going to get helped by this. I certainly wish it would have been a huge tax cut on rich people. I'm like everybody else. The only way to grow this economy is to cut taxes on rich people. But hey, let's give this a shot for one time. What do you say?
Let's try it. Sure.
Just to see what happens.
Just see. Yeah. Well, let's just see. Let's just see if eventually in the history books it will be FDR, LBJ, Joe Biden, the three Democratic presidents who did the most for poor people in this country. That they're right now, Biden is making a run to be that guy. And
it's weird. It's when you look at this guy's career and you look at what he did specifically to help save the auto industry in this country in like 2009. I mean, and then you look at this. You can even I've tried to downplay this guy in terms of gravitas and accomplishments and all that other stuff. But you look at just those two things in and of themselves. Holy shit, that's not bad. That doesn't suck, No,
it doesn't. And we're only 50 days into Joe Biden's presidency, but by any measure, it's been a good first 50 days, in spite of the fact that he hasn't held a formal press conference. And we may just have to live with that. Have to decide what would be more difficult to live with over a 4-year presidential term. Let's just say that Joe Biden and his team come to the conclusion that the old style press conference is an anachronism. It makes no sense. It's ridiculous. It's a free-for-all bullshit strutting session for reporters who want to make a name for themselves, who want to be the next Sam Donaldson or Dan Rather or someone like that. Okay. And that Joe Biden is going to communicate with the American people in a different way through formal speeches and sit down interviews with people. And he decides that's how he's going to do it. Is that the worst thing in the world? Would that end the country as we know it? The answer, of course, is no. Of course,
I don't think so.
Because there are a lot of traditions. There are a lot of traditions that, and I don't ever want to use Trump as the standard for anything, but there are a lot of traditional things that Donald Trump did not do while president, which is act like a normal human being.
Correct.
Okay. And so you have to take a choice. Are you going to have a normal human being who says, this is not the best way to communicate with people? I'm not going to stand there and let people who are 40 years younger than me roll gotcha questions and shove everything up my ass and make me look like a doddering old man. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do it in a different, I'm going to lead the country. Leading the country is not about how much TV time you get and how much back and forth you get with enterprising reporters, all of whom have a function in our society. They are very important. We respect the press. We love the press. They do a great job. But that doesn't mean that the format can't change. This would be a format change. Joe Biden is not hiding in his basement. He's not doing anything wrong. It's just that the idea that we just have to have formal press conferences for the very reason that, well, we used to have a lot of them, which we actually didn't have a lot of them. No president liked to do those at all. They all avoided doing them until they had to. Remember? Recall? Mm-hmm. It's been bitched about for every president that I can recall for a while, right?
That's right.
They didn't do it till they had to, or until they thought it was to their advantage to do so. And I think you pointed out, I think you looked this up on the last podcast. Trump, well, he only did a couple.
Of those first year in 2017, he did one. Yeah, he did exactly one.
Right.
So that's right. I mean, if that's the standard, if Joe Biden does more than one, remember, he's already done better than Trump in year one.
Right. Well, but and again, that's just not going to be the standard. And if you're looking for the hypocrisy on this, it's right there for you. By the way, can I answer one of your texts this morning?
Yes.
Because I just noticed it. You and I and John the Catholic were having a three-way.
That's right.
I don't like the sound of that.
Thanks for that little image. Saltpeter
said, as for the economy, if Republicans say that Biden is benefiting from having the table set for him by the great Trump, don't they have to admit that when the economy was doing well in 2017, it was the residual effect of Obama? I can't believe you even dared to ask that. The answer is, of course, they don't have to admit that. And they didn't admit it for 1 second when Trump was president. And Donald Trump said 1,000,000 times, if he said it 10,000 times, I came in here, everything was a disaster. The cupboard was bare. There was nothing left. The jobs were leaving the country. And that was a lie, but it doesn't matter. So if you think that there's some kind of standard of if you said this, then you have to say, with Republicans,
Forget it.
No, that's not how they roll.
Well, those
They
are the two
never
things that
roll that way.
those are the two things that are going to piss me off is when Trump eventually starts running his mouth on a more frequent basis, is how he's going to claim credit for the economic success that Joe Biden is having now and for the foreseeable future. He's going to say that he set Biden up for great success, and he's going to claim he's going to claim success in getting people vaccinated with the vaccine. You know he's going to do that when, again, the Biden folks went in there and they go, nobody planned shit. Nobody had anything to do for us when we came in there as far as the COVID-19 vaccine.
Yeah, but see, again, we live in a world where Donald Trump does not control the narrative anymore.
God.
So he can try to say these things, and he can have an entire media conglomerate and the tentacles that reach out from it, try to lie about it. But the fact that he went completely dormant, 100% dormant, from Election Day till January 20th, and said nothing. He said nothing about the coronavirus, and everybody who was in that administration that was associated with what was supposed to have been going on or was going to be said, he was completely out of the loop. He didn't care. It never happened. Not his problem. Not on my watch, because he was obsessed with trying to cheat and overturn the election. And my God, wouldn't you like to see that phone breakout of how many calls he made around the country to election officials in the states that he lost?
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, right now the Wall Street Journal found another one from Georgia, another one.
Yeah.
And so you got to believe that he did that certainly with Arizona. He did it with Pennsylvania. He did it with Wisconsin.
Yeah.
He did it in all the states that he won in 2016 and lost in 2020, which turned around that electoral college calculation exactly as a mirror image of 2016. So you got to think that he was doing the same thing with all of them. And when you hear that latest one, this is the old, I'm shocked but not surprised. Yeah, we know that. Quit saying that about everything. God, I hate that. But when you hear him speak in such a deranged, confident way to people who he knows are in the scheme of politics and in the world in which he was in at that moment, they were shit. They were shit people that he could shit on. That's how he viewed them. An election official in Georgia somewhere. Who the fuck is that? Get it done. Do it right. Find 1,180 votes. That's one more than I need. And you know what? You will be rewarded. People will love you for this. People will think you're great if you get this done. That is, I'm sorry. Don Corleone called and said, fuck, I don't talk that way to anybody. I never did. Right? Nobody behaves like that except a sick person.
Oh, yeah.
A very, very ill person.
You know, and YouTube has said that they're going to restore his account when the threat of violence subsides. So that means I don't think it's ever.
Don't have to worry about that.
We're good to go on that one.
You know what? Hey, Britt, you know what? You won't have to take your shoes off and you won't have to get any airline security as soon as that threat passes from the shoe bomber and September 11th. You don't have to worry about that. Oh, I'm sorry. It's been 20 years. It's been 20 years. And now if you have enough credentials, yes, you don't have to take your belt off anymore. I don't have to take my belt off anymore.
Well, if you get like pre-check or something, you don't take your belt off?
Pre-check. Big deal, right? Big deal. So.
And I would say that we don't want to bury the headline here, but Merrick Garland has been confirmed as the next Attorney General of these United States. That happened, I think, by a 70-30 vote in the Senate yesterday. And he thought, and again, cloture was invoked after the Republicans went out to get a nap after they tried to cock block America from getting $1,400 checks. And that meant that Tom Cotton was not able to filibuster this and bring up a lot of stupid and inane points and make all sorts of points and make campaign ads for the 2024 election. So unfortunately, Merrick Garland's, his nomination went right through and there was no problem, Brad.
Well, even Moscow Mitch voted for him. Moscow Mitch was one of the 20 Republicans who, as far as I'm concerned, they should be targeted. They should be primaried out of there for allowing this man to actually get a hearing and get a position beyond the federal judge gig that he had. And now, of course, he was going to sail through, but I had no idea how many Republican votes he was going to get, if any. But the fact point is that 20, and apparently kind of a big deal.
Apparently, Tom Cotton was the skunk at the garden party who wanted to bring up all of this shit and try to make a grandstand play. And unfortunately, because they were spent so much of their energy trying to keep America from getting their money on Friday, they just were not able to stop Chuck Schumer from go ahead and invoking cloture and getting the thing through.
All right. Well, what do you think are the chances? Because I think they're pretty good, and it could happen at any moment while we're doing this Brad and Britt cast on a Thursday afternoon.
Nice.
That Trump is going to make a pitch to all his people to give him a commission on the $1,400 that they are getting by saying, well, I'm the one that wanted the $2,000, and this is just the end of the amount that I wanted that you should have gotten several months ago. Mm-hmm. And wouldn't your favorite president appreciate it if you sent him $100 from your $1,400? No. I mean, this would be the ultimate final end of the world, end of the earth grift by this guy to try to tell people, who need the money that they should send some of it to him. How is that not going to happen? I can't.
Are you familiar? Are you familiar in evangelical Christians with the concept of tithing? You know what tithing is?
That's the 10% rule, right?
You got to. Let's go 10% to your Jesus, Donald Trump. Go ahead, break him off $140. Put it in the mail. Put it in PayPal.
No, Britt. Sorry, 200 because remember he already sent you 600. So it's a total of 2,000. Yeah.
Jesus only gets 10%. Trump, if 10% is good enough for Jesus, it's good enough for you, Trump. You don't get more than that, pal.
But he's gonna count the previous 600 and add it in and say it's a total of 2,000. Okay, you get 10%.
You don't get more than Jesus. You get the same amount.
Plus, hang on. Since it's been several months since you got the first 600, and you made all that interest off the 600 over the last 3 months, you got 4 cents more in your bank account. Trump would like to play Visa and MasterCard with you and tack on another 3% for the fee. Okay, so here we go. Ready? So it's 2,000.
Yeah.
10% is 200, and then 3% of the 200 is another $6 for the fee that Trump is going to have. Yes, 206, please. 206.
Make it out to your personal Jesus, Donald John Trump. Make sure that he gets his money right now. That's the way you got to do. Well, let's be honest. For those 4 years, Trump did a better job than Jesus. Some people say I've done better than Jesus. I don't want to say. Some people are saying this. That's what they're saying. Yeah. I like Jesus, but I did a better job than he did. The Washington Post has done the analysis. GOP-backed voting measures could create hurdles for tens of millions of voters. 250 laws, they're saying, Brad, has been proposed in 43 states. In Georgia, I was just reading the analysis on this. They only want people, this is separate from the military, military mail-in votes. They only want people over the age of 65 sending mail-in ballots in Georgia. Those tend to skew Republican. So this would actually, at least in theory, hurt Republicans, but they don't give a shit at this point. That's what's going on in America right now.
Well, I forgot to mention that yesterday because we went through the history of this in Georgia, where they've had mail-in voting successfully since 2005. No excuse mail-in voting. So I'm not sure how putting the stupid age limit on it gives them some kind of plausible deniability that this is aimed at black people or old people, because remember, this is just one part of it, and you're right. In general, I don't know. It is exactly what we think it is, and we cannot allow ourselves to be gaslighted for even a second that there is any good faith involved in any of these proposed laws around the country. And there's a piece that ran earlier today. I think it's about something that happened this morning. The governor of your state and my state, Roy Cooper, said flat out, if they think they're going to pass this kind of crap, those kind of laws right now in North Carolina, there's no way I'm going to veto every damn one of them. Now, is there a veto-proof majority to get all of these kinds of laws in place in North Carolina? I believe not right now.
Not right now.
So you would have to have some Democrats.
God bless Roy Cooper. But let me be clear. North Carolina is as fucked up as some of these other states when it comes to politics and stuff like this. But at least on this one, there is a line. And thank God that Roy Cooper was reelected fairly easily in 2020. Thank God.
And by the way, just to isolate it down to the most obvious proposed voter restriction that could occur in North Carolina that would mirror or parallel what's going on, certainly in Georgia, would be to suddenly say the no excuse absentee ballot situation in North Carolina is no more.
Mm-hmm.
Is no more. And remember, there were already some broad restrictions on it in North Carolina. I think you had to do it within a certain amount of time. I mean, it was pretty liberal, and there was nobody that could say they couldn't mail in vote in North Carolina. But if they start there, and it's by the way, it's a Politico piece. I didn't keep it, but Roy Cooper is out there saying, we're going to try not to be one of the dumbest Southern states. We want to try to stay apart from the rest of them, and we'll see.
This is going to continue on, and they're going to continue to try to do it. You can see exactly what they tried to do. They tried to fuck with the United States postal system last year. They tried to rig the election that way so it would go in Donald Trump's favor.
They're still there,
and they're still doing it. And by the way, when your Uncle Ralph starts talking about those dumps in the middle of the night that turned the election from Trump to Biden, you can remind him that the reason that happened is because the legislatures in some of those states, like Pennsylvania, did not allow them to start counting the mail-in ballots until election day. That's why it didn't happen until 2 or 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and that's why the totals went from here to here. You dumbass.
Right. Well, we all know that. We all. Here's the quote. Here's the quote from Roy Cooper. I expect Republican leadership in our North Carolina legislature to follow a lot of other state legislatures in using the big lie of voter fraud as an excuse for laws that suppress the vote. Let's get real about it. These laws are intended to discourage people from voting.
Keep calling it that. You keep calling it the big lie. That is exactly what it is. That phrase cannot be used enough. That is exactly what needs to be done. That is the reason that people attacked the Capitol on January the 6th. That's the reason that people are trying to be disenfranchised right now. It is 3 words, the big lie. God bless you, Roy Cooper. I never for one moment questioned my vote towards you. I never had 1 second of buyer's remorse, and I certainly am more proud now than I ever was of voting for you. If Dan Forrest was our governor right now, this shit would already be passed. We would already have this shit passed, and we would.
And by the way, I'm sure you may be aware of this. Pat McCrory is every day on WBT, late in the morning, running this bullshit out there to people in Charlotte. He is out there saying all these things that we're talking. If Pat McCrory was the governor, you don't think?
Oh God,
that we wouldn't have all this kind of crap moving on right now? He's 100%. The same as the rest of them, maybe worse. And one day, when I'm on my deathbed, someone will come up to me and answer the question, why the fuck is he on Meet the Press? Why do they have him on? Okay.
I think he's got some good. Whatever PR team is representing him, they just do a good job. That's all I can tell you. Or they got some lazy ass bookers on that show, or a combination of those two things. Yeah. Do you know? And I don't know if you know the answer to this question. Is Pat McCrory also forwarding the idea that Donald Trump won the election in 2020? Is that something that he's saying on WBT?
I don't think. Right. I don't think he's one. I don't think he goes that far. But I'm sure that he. I'm sure that he walks down the middle. I'm sure that he probably says, yes, Joe Biden He does the old Joe Biden is the president, but there sure are some irregularities that need to be investigated. That kind of hedge that basically gives license to everybody who goes further than that. That's what they say. That's what they do.
And that worm Raffsberger, who was, who helped just out of some sense of duty save America. Now he's the guy that's pushing all this shit in Georgia, because you know how much election fraud has been perpetrated by somebody getting a piece of fucking pizza in a line to vote. Do you know how many times that's happened? I'm going to go 0. I'm going to go 0.0 times, Plutarski. Jesus. It's amazing what's going on in America right now. And these guys just nakedly try to do this right in front of our faces. And we just can't let this happen. We can't ease up on it. And I commend Roy Cooper for continuing to use that phrase, the big lie, and telling the Republicans, take the shit down the road. Take it down to South Carolina. This ain't going to happen, pal.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to give you a either or, a would you rather, or which is more likely. You ready? Governor Matthew McConaughey of Texas or Senator Geraldo Rivera from Ohio?
Would you want to talk about Senator Laura Trump from North Carolina? Do you want to talk about that one too?
No. No. Answer the question, Mr. Politician. Don't.
Would you rather? I think I'd rather have Senator McConaughey. I think that would be much more entertaining than Senator. I think Geraldo. There's a creepy factor there. You remember the allegations from Bette Midler all those years ago about Geraldo and stuff. I'm going to go with Governor McConaughey in Texas.
He's talking. I mean, he's really revealing his inner right-wingedness at this moment, saying, "I think I'm just going to run for governor of Texas." Charles Barkley used to say he was going to run for governor of Alabama. I mean, a lot of people say that now, but because you know who got elected president now, there really is no limit to how little governmental experience people will use as a criteria to say, well, he hasn't been in government, so he isn't corrupted, and he'll bring new ideas, and he's not a professional politician, so I'll vote for him, and I like his movies. Wait, that was Reagan. Excuse me.
Reagan.
Sorry, that was Reagan. No, he had experience. He did have government experience when he ran for president. But
how did
Geraldo is not a young guy, but of course that means he's perfect for the Senate, because he might be the youngest guy in the Senate if he ran.
Well, how did the Jesse Ventura experiment work in Minnesota? How did the Arnold Schwarzenegger experiment work in California?
I don't think either of them were the worst governors.
Well, again, but you're all of this is through the lens of Trump. Now that we've seen how shitty Trump was, right, you can go back and take a look and go, well, they didn't suck as bad as he did. But then again, nothing does. Not diphtheria, not hepatitis, nothing sucked as bad as those 4 years of Trump.
And again, you're right. We shouldn't use Trump as the example, because Trump, the number one charge against him, which will stick no matter what side of Donald Trump you are on, he was lazy. He didn't know anything, and he didn't care that he didn't know anything.
Yeah.
And he wasn't interested in knowing anything.
No.
And that's really bad. I wouldn't accuse either Jesse Ventura or Arnold Schwarzenegger of being lazy or not knowing anything or not caring to learn anything. And I think in the case of Schwarzenegger, again, he's one of the best ex-governors that you've ever seen around the country. I mean, the kind of stuff that he's been doing as a retired governor, he makes a few movies every once in a while, but he is at the forefront of a group that is trying to knock out gerrymandering across the country. That's his obsession. He is obsessed with it. And again, if you've ever seen an Arnold movie, when he gets obsessed with something, you better get out of the way. He might be serious about it, but he is. And he doesn't have to do that. He doesn't need to do anything. But
and to his credit, he's also knocked back a lot of this nativism shit too. He's also been pretty outspoken about that. I mean, to his credit as well, to be completely fair to him.
And again, like a lot of immigrants, they do get the job done. They do get the job done, and he'd be a perfect example of. He came here with relatively nothing, and became what he became. And everybody can't lift weights and become a movie star. I understand that, but I give him some points. I really do. I really do give him some points.
He has redeemed himself for whatever he did in office, and I think I think history has been kind to him per se, for sure. But we do have to keep ourselves vigilant on all of this stuff that's going on, because we can't allow, or we can't just excuse it and say that maybe the courts will fix things, because again, I don't know what damage Donald Trump was able to do to the courts in 4 years, right?
Yeah. No, there's and that's the poisoning of democracy that was going on during the Trump era, literally on steroids at a breakneck speed to get a quarter of the federal courts shifted over to new judges that had been approved on the fast track over those 4 years by Mitch McConnell, who there was nothing that was going to stop them. And they had control. They did it. And no matter what happens over the 4 years of Joe Biden being president, he's not going to be able to get as many federal judgeships and people at that level approved as Trump did, because there aren't that many openings, because a lot of the openings that Trump was able to fill were the result of Mitch McConnell cock blocking everything that Obama did. Everything, that's why there were all these openings, because there were a lot of open. I think, and I'm not sure, it's a story that pops up every few months. I see it. There is, I think, a federal judgeship over in Eastern North Carolina that's been open for 10 years.
I've heard that story.
Crazy story. Are you familiar with what I'm talking about?
I've heard some of that, yeah.
It's just crazy. It's just crazy. And I think it goes back to, Obama appointed somebody who was black, and that was terrible. It was horrible. And I don't think they ever filled it. Maybe it got filled again by McConnell and Trump. Thank God for them. But yeah, you're not going to get any relief from the courts on all these laws that are being rammed through, if in fact they do get rammed through, and they just might. Which of course goes back to why the large giant HR1, the For the People Act,
right,
to make illegal a lot of these kinds of laws that are trying to be enacted around the country, needs to be passed. And then the next thing you know, we're using the word filibuster, and people are going to sleep and driving off the side of the road as we talk about it. So
what do you make of these rumors about Laura Trump running for the Senate for that Richard Burr seat in I guess 2022? What do you make of that whole situation?
Could Republicans do it?
Yes, they could.
They could do it, because if your opponents in the Republican primary are people like Mark Walker and Ted fucking Budd, okay, and your last name is Trump, you're probably going to win. And it's not going to be the issues aren't going to matter. Nothing is going to matter, because this would be positioned clearly as revenge, getting back at anyone who has disrespected anyone with the last name Trump. And this is vindication time. This is the next generation time. This is Trumpism forever. This is how we're going to start. I mean, you could write the campaign commercials yourself. So could I. It's not hard.
Right.
And
make North Carolina great again. That's what I would do. If I was a dick, that's what I would do.
On the other hand, I think that a Trump might have a very difficult time in a general election in North Carolina with Donald Trump not on the ballot. Because yes, last name is correct, but the first name is not correct. And and remember, if it wasn't for Cal Cunningham's penis, he would be a Democratic senator from North Carolina.
I would
We
vote
run
for
very,
Cal
very
Cunningham. I would vote for Cal Cunningham's penis over Laura Trump. I would
right,
if
right,
it was on the ballot.
right. And so Democrats are not going to put somebody up that's that much of a boob as Cunningham was. So and remember the downside for the last name Trump if she loses. Okay, because remember that would be worse than Donald Trump losing, right? Because then the magic not only didn't transfer over to all the suck ups around the country who've been sucking up to him, it didn't even transfer to someone in his own family with
Right.
the same name. That would be a disaster. So
Would he come and campaign for her? His record on campaigning for people, remember, not that stellar in recent memory. Didn't do so hot in Georgia.
I don't think you're right. I think that the actual candidates that he campaigned for.
Well, it didn't work in Georgia. I know that.
Round.
Towards the end, it wasn't so great.
I'm talking about candidates that he really did campaign for. He didn't really campaign for those people. He faked it. He didn't really, that was bullshit. He was bitter and wasn't trying very hard and was telling people to stay home and not vote. Okay, so I wouldn't exactly call him somebody who was endorsing Kelly and David. Kelly and David, who, by the way, do a great job after Good Morning America every day.
They sure do. Kelly and David are great.
I love their show. They're excellent. All right, we're in damage control now. Right now, we're down to fucking Laura Trump. I mean, this is bad news.
Yeah, we got to go figure out this Dr. Seuss thing, man. We got to go work from that.
Is it fair to say that we may be the most vaccinated podcast in America right now?
That's right. The most vaccinated.
Most vaccinated.
There it is.
100%.
Not the most talented, not the best looking, but look at that. Yeah. Yes. Double vaccinated.